Southern District of New York, and that is they detail the cooperation. They essentially say it wasn't as great as everybody thought, and they are recommending, as you mentioned, this substantial sentence. Read this part. Cohen's criminal violations of federal election laws were stirred, like his other crimes, by his own ambition and greed. During and after the campaign, Cohen privately told friends and colleagues, including in seized text messages, that he expected to be given a prominent role and title in the new administration. When this did not materialize, Cohen found a way to monetize his relationship with and access to the president. Goes on to say the bank records reflect that he made more than $4 million before contracts were terminated. They go on to say that Cohen had these monthly invoices he sent to the Trump organization, the company, for $35,000 payments, falsely indicating that these invoices were being sent as a retainer. The company then falsely accounted for these payments as legal expenses. These are the payments to pay off some of those women that we've talked about and their allegations.
Yeah, it's curious to see what the president's exposure here is going to be legally, considering this happened before he became president. We're going to take it around the table. Kennedy.
Hi, Brett. Nice to talk to you. So there was one aspect of the filing where it said in some of Michael Cohen's text messages that he had expected a plum role in the administration. And I'm wondering if somehow his hubris and narcissism were absolutely repellent to special counsel.
Yeah, it seems like that. At least the Southern District of New York here. We're just looking at the Mueller filing, Kennedy, and this is separate. Again, we've got three things going on here. In addition to Comey testifying, we've got the Southern District of New York, the special counsel details, and then the special counsel on Manafort and why they think he's lying to them. Mueller contends that Cohen lies to Congress, concealing the Trump Tower Moscow deal, could have made Trump's company hundreds of millions of dollars from Russian sources. And this goes into what we've talked about before, and that is the thought of a Trump Tower in Moscow. Cohen alleging that he lied to Congress, saying that this project was in the works and continued to go and be talked about well into 2016.
Are they intimating that the project was illegal?
No. They're just saying that he lied about it before Congress in what we've seen, and that it was still going forward. But you get to the heart of the matter here. And this is what the president has tweeted about. Is it legal or is it not? He was a businessman looking for opportunities, and did he do something illegal by talking about a project? Where the complication comes is how it strings together with the other Russia part of the investigation. And we don't see yet in this document that detail of where the Mueller probe is heading on that front. And again, I haven't seen the Manafort document as of yet.
All right, Marie.
Brett, put the Cohen filing into context of everything else that's happened this week, and, as you mentioned, the Manafort filing, which we're still waiting for. We had the Flynn sentencing memo that included a lot of redactions, but a lot of information about his cooperation, the fact that he had been cooperating on 3 separate investigations. Now the Cohen memo, and now we're still waiting on Manafort. Put that all into context for the kind of week the president's looking at on the special counsel particularly.
Maria, I just don't think we know yet. I think the Flynn filing, if you listen to people who really cover this very closely, like Michael Isikoff and others, who say, I think there are a lot of people who are reading too much into it, even though you don't know what the redactions obviously are behind the redactions. But it's very well possible that they could be involved in other crimes dealing with other people and other lobbyists and the FARA rules. So again, we don't know on that front. As far as these filings, the most damning thing, I think, so far, reading through them, is the payments. And, whether you characterize those as a campaign finance violation and where that all goes. But as far as Russian collusion, I've sifted through 40 pages so far, and I have not seen anything along those lines.
Okay, Greg.
Yeah, I feel like the news just threw up on me. There's like too many. It's impossible to focus on what is like what. And so I think what you just said is the key thing, is that this was supposed to be about something else, which was this mythical beast that the media was going to slay, which was collusion. And instead, what we are is we've got these complications and these documents and these details, and we still don't know what's legal and what's illegal. Yet, I'm sure for the media, this will feel like Christmas.
Yeah, and I mean, campaign finance violations, they're a legitimate concern, and they're, you know, it's their laws, obviously, but if you are talking about substantial evidence of collusion with Russia, so far, I am not seeing anything that references that in these filings. Now, let's see what the Manafort filing says. But you're right, Greg. I mean, it has been a lot of talk about what possibly could come, like it is a very exciting moment. So far, this is like Chinese food for those folks. I mean, they may want to have a little bit more food because they just don't have enough information here. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Do you have a quick question for Mr. Baer, Nicole?
I do. Hi, it's Nicole Sapphire. I have a quick question for you. So can you explain to us a little bit more? Resign to run laws are not applicable in the private sector. So, you know, what we were kind of wanting to see here was talk about the collusion, but we didn't get that. But for the folks that are getting all worked up over campaign finance issues, so if resign to run laws are not applicable to the private sector, why would Cohen lie about the potential relationship, other than just that it may open up the president's campaign to blackmail, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it was going to happen. It's just all summation, and, you know, it's just, you know, supposition of things that may not happen. Is this just a media tactic?
You know, I don't know if we can get to his motivation for lying about it. Obviously, the campaign had been asked about ties to Russia, and there had been denials from the candidate. After that, you know, it seemed like it had all finished, and so that Trump Tower plan had gone further than anybody thought it was, if you believe Cohen's testimony the second time to the special counsel. The legality of whether that could happen or couldn't, you're right. I mean, there's a question of, it's legal, obviously. He was a businessman at the time. But how it fits into his answers about his dealings with Russia later, after he gets elected,